What's up, guys? Matthew, getting ready to watch a special, a documentary, I believe. We Stand Alone Together. Obviously, this is sort of, I believe, a companion piece to Band of Brothers. Real quick, before I get into it, I would assume that you guys, if you're watching this, you watch me watch Band of Brothers. This is almost like probably like an unofficial 11th episode, if anything. There's a huge demand, and obviously, I will say, in my adult life, this is going to be the first sort of documentary or anything I've ever watched. So a little bit of a shake-up content-wise for me. Obviously, it's about a story that history, of something I just watched. So I'll be semi-familiar with it, but I'm very excited to watch it. Get some sort of more real-life commentary. The commentary in the beginning of the episodes, I absolutely loved. You know what I mean? It really hit you hard, especially in the finale. Like I said, right at the end, the closing seconds is the closest I've probably gotten to tearing up or crying. Not tearing up, to crying I've ever gotten on the channel so far. So I would assume that this is going to hit me just as hard. Real quick, obviously, I've completely finished Band of Brothers on my channel. At this point, on Patreon, I'm probably deep into the Pacific. That show, if you're interested, I'm very excited to watch the Pacific. I know that show also has a companion piece, so I will also be, watching that as well. And then also just to remind people, right after the Pacific, I'm going to be watching Masters of the Air, which doesn't have a companion piece, so only 9 episodes of that. And then also, as I told you guys at the beginning of Band of Brothers, I will also watch a couple World War II movies, or any, quite honestly, I might make it into like a series of any war movies in general. So just that's another thing too. Just if you got any recommendations, keep dropping them in the comments. I will, in a couple months, start watching those as well. So, but other than that, like I said, I'm excited to get into this. Very unique content, something I don't really watch, not only on the channel, but in my spare time. So I want to see how it sort of affects me, makes me cry. So if you guys like the video, please drop a like and leave a comment. It really helps me out. I've got the Flying Through Action up on Patreon. Like I just said a minute ago, if you want to get early access to the Pacific, I don't know the exact episode I'm currently on. The YouTube comments down below will say the exact episode I'm currently on Patreon. If you're interested in joining, check it out. And the most important thing, if you enjoy my content, you like my commentary, anything like that, you want to help me out, I would really appreciate if you subscribed. Other than that, I'm ready to get into this documentary. Let's go.
On the top of this hill at the aid station, and a random shell came in. It couldn't have gone
obviously,
off more than 5 or 10 feet Band of Brothers, from me,
it's a show. There's actors, and it's a real story. But seeing the actual people who went through this talk about it, it hits even more.
Snow, and I tried to get up. And when I tried to get up, only thing I could see were the broken ends of my legs.
Jesus fucking Christ.
I'm about to die. And I said my act of contrition, because I'm a Catholic. And then the next thing I thought of was my mother. And I thought, what's she going to say? Because I was an only child.
It's kind of crazy. I'm just thinking about this, thinking about watching this documentary. You know what I mean? I'm thinking about it's got to go on YouTube. I don't think I'm gonna talk that much because it's so real. It's just me learning about people's, what they went through. I don't know if I'll talk that much.
My name is C. Carwood Lipton. I was born in Huntington, West Virginia. Grew up in Huntington.
Frederick T. Heiliger, Concord, Massachusetts.
Abraham Lincoln?
I was born in...
These guys all look badass.
Born and raised in South Philadelphia.
I don't know if we're going to talk that much.
Was tough. Mom had 10 children.
God
so you had to work to survive. That's what it was. It's just survival in the streets of Philadelphia, that's all.
It was a...
Dude, they all look so awesome. What is going on?
I got a paper route. That $5 a month I made, something like that, But it was at least...
I was going to say something.
A work ethic that the Pennsylvania Dutch in this particular area are very proud of.
I was the oldest one.
Your family's around there?
Branched out on my own at an early age.
I was married when I was 19 years old.
God damn, dude, I'm 21 and close to getting married.
I said, let's go in the Army. He said, hell, I don't want to go in no Army. I said, well, you're going to have to go sooner or later. Something was wrong with you if you
I'm
weren't.
gonna say, I know at that point in time period, some people had to go. You know what I mean? And I'm not going.
Difficult physical requirements, and I just got interested in seeing if I couldn't become a paratrooper.
Nobody forced you to do this. You volunteered. And it was...
I don't know if this makes any sense. Obviously, some people have regrets and they saw a lot of hard things, but there's almost like a sense of pride in most of them that you can tell in their voice.
You was proud to be.
Well, yep.
Man was like a heavyweight champ of the world boxer.
Out of 100%, only 10% made it.
I thought I was going to die.
There wasn't no holding back.
You had to hang in there. You had to be tough. We marched 118 miles in 3 days.
Don't say those words. My body will spontaneously combust.
And a lot of the training was to build you up physically and mentally.
Some of them lost as much as 40 pounds.
Get me in there, bro.
He had the cream of the cream.
Had to climb this mountain called Currahee every morning, run it up and back. If you couldn't do it, why, you'd end up in another unit.
Of course, the name Currahee, as I understand it, means we stand alone together. That's an Indian name. It became a symbol of...
Which was ridiculous because when you had to run it during the day, all you did was bitch and moan. And at night, they'd get a couple of guys and go up and do it on your own.
Dude, I'm already getting teary-eyed, man. And his voice is ASMR, man.
Their own chutes for the first jump.
Nervous as hell getting on a plane.
Yeah.
Asking yourself, what the hell am I doing here?
When it came time to stand up and hook up, we did.
Coming down is great.
It affects everybody different.
Felt like a bird flying in the air.
Broke my foot on the first one.
They're dropping 16
Jesus.
feet.
A lot of differing opinions here.
But after that, it wasn't as bad.
But it was quite a thrill. It was just like going on a roller coaster. You get off and you want to go right back on again. Yeah.
Forrest Gump? What in
Some of the big ones hit the ground like a ton of... What's his name?
The thing you worried about most was your chute. Did you pack it right? And you'd go through that, you'd pack it one day.
Yeah, dude, I have no faith in myself, man. Packing my own parachute? Hell no.
That's when you felt that this is it. We did not know which day. We did not know where we were going to jump.
I got goosebumps all over my body, man.
Then they had debriefing to tell you exactly what your mission was.
And they took this map and they made a scale model of the features of the land. They put in all the little buildings, all the bridges, all the little knolls, all the sand dunes. Everything was in
Hey,
on it.
let me tell you what. Army had some good-ass artists. Sculptors in there, too. Like, then they're carrying all this weight on them, too, at all times.
Thing that we thought we could carry in the line of personal items, plus the necessary things we were assigned to carry, and we were loaded.
They're probably carrying the weight of me, my big ass, at all times.
That infuriated me to no end. And that's when I jumped on D-Day, I swore I was going to kill every damn German I came across.
How could
That's
you not?
why I think they nicknamed me Wild Bill, because I did a lot of killing D-Day.
Jesus.
So, since I was jump master, I could lie in the door, at the door of the plane with my head out in the slipstream looking down. And I saw the thousands of craft, ships, everything from LCIs to battleships down there in the channel. And I think that's when I first...
This might sound stupid. Again, like I don't know exactly. Did the Germans and everyone know that D-Day was like going to happen, like at that time, that specific time, or was it a complete and utter surprise? I would assume that some sort of information had to have leaked or anything.
And then across the Cherbourg Peninsula. And that's when the fireworks started.
This guy needs to narrate everything.
So what are we going to do with all these guys back here? Give them the green light sometime. Get out. We're standing there ready to jump.
There was a certain relief, I think, when the green light came on and everybody said, let's go.
Got such an opening blast from the opening shot from the prop blast that it broke this chin strap that we had on this helmet liner. And that's when I lost this famous leg bag that everybody talks about just from the shock of...
It's crazy how, like...
it just flew right off.
They can just remember every... Obviously, I would assume some of the details are lost through time and remembrance, but I mean, it's so vivid.
It tore right off because we jumped at speeds of 150 miles an hour, maybe even higher, I don't know.
And lower than we should have been. But that wasn't bad either because you got to the ground quicker.
Makes sense to me.
That you are getting close to landing and you're saying, there's some trees, there's a road, try and slip to avoid the trees, try and slip to avoid landing on the road.
And I slipped a little bit, and my chute fell across the power lines, and I hit that fence and fell into a farmer's garden. And that fence had, I'll never will forget it, it had glass in the top of it and cut me up.
Oh my God.
Yeah, that didn't bother me.
Not too tough. You know me.
Grabbed a hold of it's a big trunk, the tree. I swung into it. I cut those risers with, I think, one swipe. And I come down that tree like a monkey.
And then there I was with a trench knife and a canteen and about 6
Oh my
candy
God.
bars.
6 candy bars. I'll take the candy. No.
To fight the German army, you know.
So there's 4 guys that were with me on D-Day who did have nothing but a jump knife when they landed. So we had a hope scrounge.
Picking up sticks and shit, making spears.
We knew where everything was. We knew it cold. But on this one, the Germans had moved in there and camouflaged us so well, we didn't know it was there.
Wow.
A little closer to look it over, and I felt I could see a trench, and I thought I knew where our machine gun was.
Winters was an exceptional leader.
Absolutely.
And he was able to size up all
That's the only thing I'm 100% confident in life, is that Winters was the GOAT.
They had trenches cut in there where they worked, the Germans did, and they jumped down in them trenches, and they worked them Germans like a dose of salt.
3 Germans broke off from this position to run across the field, which was the wrong thing to do.
Easy pickings?
From their viewpoint. We cut them down.
I was in the
Damn.
trench and
God damn.
on arm.
Tough as nails.
The man was in a camel.
Stone cold.
I look upon them, each man with great respect. Respect I can't describe. Each one of
I
them.
don't care if it's a trophy or not. I'm not posing with the flag.
We've been through Normandy. We've been through battle. And maybe if I had been harder, if I had done a little bit better job,
Oh
there would
man.
have been a couple more men going home.
Can't think like that. I mean, I like such a good leader like that. I expect him to think like that, sadly, but
I never thought I'd get through D-Day, let alone the next phase or the next phase.
and it kept on going, getting worse and worse.
I don't know why, but I got right there to where I didn't want to be friendly with
But
replacement.
I don't want you to be like me. I want you to survive.
It just tore me up, and I don't know why, but they were the first ones killed.
And we had a couple of missions scratched. We were supposed to jump on a French city of Tournai, and it got to the sand table part where we all gathered around to see which bridges we were going to, who was going to do what, and General Patton's troops overran the drop zone. So that one was called off, and we were wondering if we were ever going to get to go. And then, of course, it got to be September.
Get to go. I don't want to go. I don't want to go.
Plowed field, and I slipped right over it, and I believe I almost landed standing up, soft. A great jump.
The most dangerous part about it was the fact that people are continually losing helmets and equipment, and all this equipment's raining down. And if you
Hitting
get
people?
hit with this, you're gonna be.
Oh my god. And like, this stuff you don't even think about until you're actually in this fucking hectic ass situation.
And they're falling all around you, and you can't help but think to yourself, my God, what a way to die in combat, to be killed with a flying timber.
Like that's... There's also a part of people who go into this thing, and again, who have that pride, who obviously they want to survive, but also like You know what I mean? If they do die, they want to be in combat, or they want to do this, they want to be doing something important. But some of them died doing stupid missions, unnecessary shit, died by random stuff, random disease or whatever. Like,
They're fighting like heck to keep us out of Germany.
It's called the island. We call it the island. And we set up positions there. Had some substantial battles there.
They could observe any movement we made, even in the daytime.
When these guys talk about it, like, it's almost like nonchalant, like, yeah, I did this, and I had this horrible battle, and then I killed 20 people, and it's like, been put through so much shit. Like, it's normalized for them.
Rolling down or landing wherever they were hitting some of the crowds because I could hear screaming, hollering, crying, and I think I threw the 8 grenades in about 4 seconds, and then I took off.
Like, it's like, I don't care how horrible of people like you're going into, or we're talking about like optics of the war and you know what I mean, all that. But I mean, like, if I'm hearing people fucking crying and screaming and like, I'm not gonna feel good about myself personally, but I'm gonna do what I gotta do to survive.
Bad as he was hurting, Joe Toy.
Tough motherfucker.
Heffron, I already checked him. He's gone. Jim Campbell might be alive today. If he hadn't have said to me, Heffron, you stay here with your gun. I'm going up. And I never, I sleep on it, I eat on it,
Every single moment for the rest of your life.
Never forgot that.
Haunting.
Everybody that went through it, I'm going to tell you the same thing. They can't die. It's just so bad all your life. You got to remember what one guy did because he thought it was his job to do, and he took a shot for you.
I will not cry. I want to cry, but I will not cry. Music. I need to look up the soundtrack of this shit. Love me some instrumental music. Wow, really? To this day, still? Even like watching, you know what I mean, Band of Brothers, it didn't even feel that big.
Field where those cattle are grazing.
About a half a mile away.
Yeah, we had an outpost set up, looking right into the town of Foy, and they had to watch everything going on.
Obviously, side note, this place is so fucking beautiful. I need to find a place like this to live.
Dove in the hole and just pray. That's it. If it comes in, you ain't gonna know it.
You ain't gonna know it.
We lost Muck and Pentella over on this side. They were killed instantly. Direct hit, 88.
Direct hit right in the hole. Just made mincemeat out of them.
Georgie Lud.
Jesus fucking Christ.
Nothing of them. There's nothing there. They were all gone, just disintegrated.
Unmerciful shelling, really.
It's an odd feeling.
To me, it brings a lot of memories. The memories of the men, the times, good and bad. A lot of memories.
We didn't know what we were getting into. There was very little information, only that the Germans had broken through.
We went down, loaded on the trucks, and another truck came by with weapons, and they pitch weapons up to the truck, and you catch a weapon, that's what you got until you got to Bastogne.
As it worked out, there's some men actually got on the trucks and left for Bastogne and didn't have a rifle.
No. Like, as we've talked about many times throughout my reactions on this stuff, I'm a pussy. I'm not going to this. I'm not competing. I'm not participating, okay? But let me tell you what. If I was participating, you're damn straight I'm having something.
We marched through the night and went up to the forward side of Bastogne and dug in, and then it snowed.
Snow, cold up.
I was wondering.
We didn't have
I was wondering, man.
Clothing or nothing.
Say, did he die? Was he not here for the... There he is.
Frostbite or trench foot or whatever you want to call it.
Bad move. A lot of snow. A lot of everything.
For some reason, Popeye might be the most like entertaining person to talk. He sounds so wise for some reason. He's like making bad move. Shouldn't have done that.
You'd be surprised how quick you can get through that hard ground when somebody's shooting at you and them shells are falling. Now you can make fast work of it.
Wow.
We just have to dig that hole.
Well, we say we became experts on foreign European soil.
Now, you must understand, we were surrounded. The Germans were about maybe 100 yards away from us.
No matter where you looked around the circle, you could see artillery flashes. So you knew
I don't know if this makes sense. Like, listen, I'm getting like claustrophobic. Like I'm shrinking down. Like, no, I'm scared.
There was one moment there that I remember vividly. I'll never forget it. One of the guys got hit in the arm with a piece of shrapnel, took his arm off above the elbow. And they were taking him out. He said, "Get my wristwatch off my arm." And before they took him out, that always stayed with me. I mean,
It's crazy to feel like obviously, you know, it's horrific stuff. Obviously, the more time passes, some of the stuff you do forget. And not that that's not horrific, but sometimes it's some of the weirdest or some of the most obscure or most, like, right in your face stuff that you just it's so vividly remembered.
Everything. They come in the kitchen sink, mortars, Erfelwaffers. That's a rocket thing that's a screaming sound.
Jeez, no, they look like fake weapons. Like I've never been up close with it. They look like fake, like sci-fi. Oh my god, that's really like that's what you gotta remember. This stuff, looking at it like in a bottle. Some of the most horrific, visceral, gruesome, bloody, gory stuff you can ever imagine, and then just imagine that it's your fucking best friends. People you've been with for, months, years, side by side for every hour of every day, and you see them like that.
He had a ticket to get out of there, and maybe a ticket to go home. And when we had a man who was killed, we found that he was at peace.
so I don't think he had any premonition of it. He just wondered about it, But I never did wonder. Never give it much thought. You just live from day.
You gotta try to stop yourself from thinking about it. You're going to think about it so much, but...
Burned by SS troops in the war's last days, the chalet from which he hoped to rule the world now lies in ruins. American Air Force's pictures show the huge gutted rooms and the great window through which the Fuhrer gazed out on the Alps.
The only thing I seen at Berchtesgaden was a couple dead black uniform SS troopers laying on the road as we were going up.
It was a beautiful country. He knew how to...
Beautiful, yeah, exactly.
House. We took over his house and...
Partying?
Liberated it, you might say.
There was obviously a loot of all kinds that the men were looking for, such as...
anything of worth value. I'm selling that shit.
I went to the barracks, went to sleep. I didn't wake up the next day. I made a 2-day thing out of it. And it didn't taste like it would hurt you.
They said nice going down?
That was the only time that I can ever remember that when I was in service that the whole company fell out in their underwear. We didn't even have to dress, so everybody was pretty well looped, and so we just fell out in line formation in our underwear.
They're enjoying themselves. They're at peace with the world. They have a big, happy, satisfied grin on their face. It was a paradise for a soldier to move into. I had no problem with looting because of the fact that I had come down.
Because of the fact that fuck them. I'll tell you that.
Prayer book for the Mass. And all of a sudden I'm faced with the thing, hey, I haven't got Nazis here. I got some Catholics.
Wow.
And I've got a Catholic good enough to stick one of these in his pocket.
A lot of those soldiers, I've thought about this often. That man and I might have been good friends. We might.
I talked about it in my Band of Brothers reaction, like, just as simple as, and we saw it in Band of Brothers, it's just the simplest connection immediately makes you rethink your entire relationship, or, you know what I mean, to someone on the other side. Oh, we have the same favorite color. Hey, you have a dog, I have a dog. It makes you see them as a human when before you only saw them as an enemy, a faceless walking person in a suit. You know what I mean?
I ended up working on the waterfront.
And I went with the CIA in Washington.
Got my degree in 1948.
After the war, I became a teacher and taught for almost 30 years. Got a job working for Nixon Nitration Works. I was making $75 a week.
God! Rich back in the day.
If you see the people today, that bond's still there. The bond you can't explain. As soon as you see them, you know you're thinking of battles and thinking of it to yourself. The men stand out amongst each other.
There's an intimacy develops, and like nothing that I've ever experienced anywhere, not in college, not in with any.
When your life's on the line, you grow closer to people.
Figured it's something that didn't need talking about. It was done, over with.
We didn't know Shifty the way the men know Shifty. You know?
So, but he started talking about it just in the last 5 or 6 years. Last 5, I'd say. It was like that was another life, you know, as he was another person, and we weren't aware that the stuff he went through, things he'd seen.
I mean, I got family that had that stuff, and same sort of thing. Like, I don't really like to talk about it. I don't really want to know about it because
strong guy.
Don't want anything to come back.
How it happened that those various individuals happened to end up in E Company, I don't know. But as you know, every Army unit...
Yes, of course. I said that in one of my reactions. It feels like they always rivalry with each other, but you know, these motherfuckers do sound like they were some of the cream of the crop.
The son and the mother and father of the heroes of the Second World War. How's the guys that come home?
I will not cry. I'm holding on. How much time we got left? Get me out of here.
Joe Toy, oh, there was a big Mick. And we used to have a few beers at night, and I'd sing, and Garnier would try to come over. Say to Garnier, Garnier, you're Italian. You don't know this song. Garnier could sing it better than he did. Bridget O'Flynn.
How's it go?
Oh.
Oh, don't get me started.
Bridget O'Flynn, where have you been? Sure, it's a fine time for you to come in.
These guys are legends. Like,
to see the big parade, me eye.
Like it's almost, this is almost from just like a blooper behind a TV. You know what I mean? Where an actor starts going crazy. No, these are just real motherfuckers in real life. It's awesome. Well, like I said, it's funny too. You know, obviously I just got done watching it. I'm gonna say this. I don't know. Obviously, I have to edit the video. You know what I mean? I was silent for like 90%. You know what I mean? And I'm sure, you know what I mean, the way I edit it, I gotta make sure every one of the single words I speak is in there. You guys are gonna go, what the fuck you mean? You've been yapping for 20 minutes or something like that. That was great. I don't know how long I'm gonna speak on it because again, so it's so real, and like I loved how it showcased. They went through some horrible shit, you know, like the worst, not horrible. They've been through the worst shit possible, and still they have that sense of pride. They had great times. They can laugh about it. They can think about the good memories. You know, they can connect with the people that are still alive. And it's beautiful. It's fucking beautiful. And you know, I haven't spoken about it that much, but you know, I mean, I have family members, you know, grandparents that you know were in, you know. Wars, you know, Vietnam and Korea and all that. Not necessarily World War II. But you know what I mean? Like, you can tell that it affects them, but it's beautiful watching them. And I'm sure some people consumed by it. I'm sure that some people got over and they drank themselves to death, or you know, I mean, they weren't able to recover or anything like that. But it's beautiful when you see people try to move on from it, if that makes any sense. I don't know if I'm saying that correctly, but like I said, you know, a couple times in the documentary, like really, like they said, like you carry everything at all times. Any bad thing that happened, you think about it. Any horrific visual, you see it all the time. Any time that someone died, where you know what I mean, maybe it could have been you in that situation. You know what I mean? It's just, I couldn't imagine. I could not imagine. So the mental fortitude to not just, like, you know what I mean? That's the part, like, and you don't really think about it first, like, when you immediately start, like, looking into it, you know what I mean? You think, like, oh, the mental fortitude of them going through and surviving this war, you know what I mean, is so great and all this and that, but no, the part that's impressive, the actual, like, you know, the mental fortitude is to fucking, you know what I mean, live your entire life after the fact. Wow. Yeah, I almost teared up. It's like 3 times there. The scene at the end was beautiful. That was really good. That was really good, man. It's I don't know how to explain this. It's hard to word it because I don't want to. This, watching Band of Brothers, and obviously I'm sure that I will love. This is going to the situation I'm talking about. What I'm trying to say is, I'm very open now to looking at more sort of World War II or any war in general. So, you know what I mean? Sort of, you know, semi biographical or whatever, whether it be either historical fiction or fictionalized history, or even just, like, you know what I mean, pure history. It's opened my eyes to it. I said when I first got into Band of Brothers that I never really dabbled in this history or storytelling or any of this. Anything surrounding these topics. Not that I was, like, you know, scared or anything. It was never my cup of tea. And I don't want to say the words, oh, I'm excited to watch more. I'm happy. Like, I'm like, you know what I mean? Like, it's hard to visual, like, say it out loud. Like, I don't know. I do want to watch more. I not necessarily, like, smile on my face. I can't wait to watch more, because I'm sure that I'm gonna watch some of these other fucking shows and these movies and stuff like that, and whether they're pure fiction or not, or they're pure history, whatever, I'm sure that I'm gonna be absolutely horrified when I watch it, if that makes any sense. So, wow. Like I said, there was a couple times watching the documentary where it was so real, and obviously, you know, it's fucking people talking about what they experienced, so fucking real. The heartbreak or the anguish or anything that they were feeling, you could see in their eyes, their facial expressions, the cracks in their voices. My heart was like, it was hurting. You know what I mean? Like, it felt like something was going, like the blood was not coming back into my heart. Like, just, it hit me, man. That was really good. I don't know what to say. Is it good? Do I call it really good? I don't know if it was really good. Maybe it was really bad. I don't know. But I really appreciate you guys for recommending this documentary. I probably wouldn't have watched it if it, you know what I mean? Like, I think that's the first thing on my channel where, like, I went to the comments and it felt like 50% of the comments were like, my man, what, you're gonna watch the documentary? Yeah, yes sir, if it's that good. And it was damn good. Like I said, you know, next week I'm going to be starting the Pacific, which is 10 episodes, and I'm going to watch the Pacific companion documentary. I would assume it's just like this, and then I'm going to go into Masters of the Air right after that. It's 9 episodes, no companion piece. I think, if I'm correct, the Pacific was made 10 years after Band of Brothers, or, you know, around that time, so should be a little more modern in the filmmaking, but you get the same thing. Obviously, it's same war, you know what I mean? But I probably know even less about, you know, the Pacific. I know that it was the most brutal, most bloody part of the war. Some of the sort of atrocities that happened, you know, in that region. But, like, when it comes to, like, actual specific, like, this, that, I don't really necessarily know as much, obviously, when you hear about World War II, especially in American school systems. They talked about the Pacific a little bit, but it's mainly about Hitler. And also, you know, Italy and all that. So I am, again, interested to learn more. Again, I'll probably be on the verge of crying multiple times and this and that. And it's interesting too. I can't wait. You know, obviously, you know, I don't need to say it, like, you know, it's a real story, but it's played by actors. And, you know, when I started Band of Brothers, I said flat out, I said I'm excited to watch the show because I know that there's so many excellent actors in this that I knew about. I don't know anyone in the Pacific. Well, I haven't looked at the cast, so I may be surprised by some, but off the top of my head, I've never looked at the Pacific cast, so I don't, like I said, I don't know if it's the same length. Don't know if there's going to be anyone I notice, and I hope there is. I hope I get surprised by some. And it's a little more modern too, so the chance that I know people might even be a little bit increased. But I actually obviously, you know, I said this, you know, I started really watching TV in 2015, so I've been watching TV for about 10 years. Band of Brothers was always sort of put in the same discussion as like greatest show of all time. The Pacific was never really something that I heard a lot about until like the last year, and I started to hear a lot of stuff about it, and I dipped my toe deeper into TV, so I was more in the community and all that. But people have been saying a lot about the Pacific. Specifically, actually, I have a friend who he said, he likes Band of Brothers, but he thought that the Pacific was considerably better as a show. So like I said, I'm hyped for it. I'm not hyped. I don't know what to say. From the aspect of looking at beautiful filmmaking, story, acting, I'm excited. From the perspective of I'm going to see some fucking gruesome, horrible shit, yeah, I'm probably not excited technically, but I do want to see it. But I think that's going to be it for me. I really appreciate you guys for watching, and like I said, I appreciate you guys for recommending it to me. I probably wouldn't have watched it if I was just, binging Band of Brothers on my own. I probably wouldn't have seen it or known about it, so I thank you guys for that. I will see you guys next week for the Pacific. If you guys like my video, please drop a like and leave a comment. It really helps me out. I have got the full-length reactions up on Patreon, and like I've been saying, I'm probably a couple episodes, bare minimum, ahead on the Pacific by now on Patreon. If you check the YouTube comments, it'll say the exact episode that I'm currently on. And if you enjoy the content that I make for the channel, you like seeing my reactions to any World War II content or any future sort of documentary history, fictionalized history, or anything like that, I'd appreciate it if you continued watching my channel. Other than that, I will see you guys next week for the first episode of the Pacific, and you guys have a good one. Thank you for watching.